Okay. I need you to understand that I came into this with every intention of being balanced and professional and measured in my assessment. I finished it at 2 a.m, threw it across the room, metaphorically, I respect books, and immediately started it again. So, we're doing this. This is my review of Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Warning, there are some spoilers. I am Lyra Whisperthorn. I am 847 years old. I have personally survived 2 dragon wars, and I have opinions. Let's go. So, the premise. Violet Sorrengail is a girl who was supposed to go to Scribe Quadrant, the academics, the historians, the people who write things down and live to old age. When her mother, a general, says, "Actually, no. You're going to the war college, to bond a dragon. Good luck." Her mother says this to her own child, who has a chronic illness affecting her joints, who has been raised to be a scholar. Her mother just redirects her entire life trajectory with the energy of someone changing a dinner reservation. Now, I want to talk about Violet, because the fantasy community, bless them, sometimes has a type when it comes to heroines, and Violet is not that type. She is not secretly a trained assassin. She is not rage incarnate. She is a small, fragile girl who is absolutely terrified and goes anyway. Every single day she goes anyway. And I have watched a lot of people walk into dragon bonding ceremonies, centuries of them. The ones who survive, they usually look exactly like Violet, scared and going anyway. That's it. That's the whole secret. She gives me Hermione trying to survive Quidditch energy. She gives me Vin from Mistborn energy, the girl who doesn't look like the hero and is absolutely the hero. The dragons. I need to talk about the dragons. And I want to be respectful, because Yarros clearly loves them, and they are magnificent, and Tairn especially is. Look, Tairn is everything. Tairn is the dragon I would want bonded to me, and that is the highest praise I give. However, as someone who has lived alongside actual dragons, not friends with dragons, they don't do friends, but coexisted respectfully at a diplomatic distance, I have some notes. Real dragons do not do the bonding thing. They do not choose riders. They do not form emotional attachments based on potential. Real dragons, and I say this with enormous respect, are essentially flying opinions, with fire. They go where they want. They leave when they want. One once burned down an entire wing of our summer palace because the architecture, quote, offended her. But, and this is important, the dragon lore in Fourth Wing is internally consistent, emotionally coherent, and Skyle and Tairn's relationship might be the most interesting love story in the entire book. I said what I said. The dragons have the best relationship. The dragons. This is the best dragon world building I've encountered since Eragon, and Saphira would agree with me if she weren't contractually obligated to Eragon's perspective. And now, Xaden Riorson. Okay. I am going to be a professional about this. I am 847 years old. I have watched empires rise and fall. I have attended more Fae court intrigues than you have read books. I am not going to lose my composure over a fictional man in a war college. Xaden Riorson is the most dangerous man in any room he has ever walked into, and he knows it, and the way he looks at Violet, okay, fine. We're doing this. He is the enemies to lovers love interest done correctly. Do you understand what I mean when I say correctly? He is genuinely dangerous. He is not pretending to be dangerous, so the heroine can tame him with her goodness. He has done actual things. There are actual consequences to who he is. He has a rebel-marked tattoo and a whole secret, and every time Violet finds out another layer of the truth, she should leave, and she doesn't. And I understand her so completely. It's embarrassing. Red flags. There are red flags. I want to state for the record that I see the red flags. I have catalogued the red flags. I have filed the red flags in a very organised system that I labelled "not my problem," and then I kept reading. He gives me Rhysand energy, but he's actually honest about who he is. He gives me Rebecca energy, but he has the emotional availability that Kaz needed 6 more therapy sessions to reach. He is his own thing. He is Xaden Riorson, and that's enough. Now, the War College setting, because this is one of my favourite things the book does, and I want to acknowledge it, because I have been in a militarised training environment, in a fantasy world, and Yarros got the atmosphere exactly right. The hierarchy, the politics between the students before the real threat even arrives. The way the most dangerous people are not the monsters outside the walls, but the people sleeping in the next bed. The way you form bonds with people under pressure that feel like they were carved into you, because they were. She got all of that. What she also got right, and this is what separates Fourth Wing from a lot of Fantasy Academy books, is that the stakes are real from page 1. People die at the gauntlet. This is not a sanitized version of a magical school where everything is dangerous, but somehow everyone we like makes it through. People die. And that changes how you read every subsequent scene. You are never fully comfortable. You are never safe. I've lived in worlds like that, where you walk into a room and you do a quiet count of who might not walk out. That feeling is real, and the book makes you feel it. That is craft. Final verdict, 9 out of 10. And I want to be clear about where the 1 point went, the pacing in the middle act. There is a stretch, roughly a third of the way through, where the romance is doing a lot of heavy lifting while the plot catches its breath, and I wanted more of the war, more of the actual conflict, more of what is happening outside the walls. The world is enormous, and the book occasionally forgets that. That said, that ending. I want to talk about the ending, and I will not spoil it, but I will say this. I did not see it coming. I, Lyra Whisperthorn, who has attended more court intrigues than you have had hot dinners, who has survived political machinations that would make Cersei Lannister take notes. I did not see it coming. That is a 5-star ending. That is a throw the book across the room at 2 a.m. ending, which, as I mentioned, I did. Is this high literature? No. Does it need to be? Absolutely not. It is a perfectly crafted, deeply emotional, occasionally unhinged romance in a war college full of dragons, and I read it in 2 sittings and cried twice, and will be reading the sequel the moment I stop pretending I don't need to. 9 out of 10. Read it. That is my verdict on Fourth Wing. I reviewed it. I felt things about it. I have complicated emotions about a fictional man that I'm going to need to sit with. And that's my Wednesday. Next week, letters to Lyra. I have received your questions, your dilemmas, your is this enemies to lovers, or is he just mean to me specifically situations, and I am going to answer some of them. One of you asked me whether you should trust a character described as having silver eyes and a cold smile. Sweetheart. The answer to that is always no. The answer to that has been no for 800 years, but we'll discuss it properly next week. I'm Lyra Whisperthorn. Read the books, guard your name, and whatever you do, do not let anyone with a rebel mark tattoo know that you noticed the tattoo. They will absolutely use that information. I noticed the tattoo immediately. Obviously. Bye.